Hey, you.
Over here, Agent.
Slayer. Yo, what's up?
Hey, over here.
Hello and welcome to Ctrl Alt WoW, the podcast for those of us who love virtual reality, playing many alts, and playing video games in general. Today is Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, and this is episode 790 entitled Bye Bye Skyward Omen. I am AprilPvd, your host, and I am obsessed with virtual reality. I'm currently hooked on Zenith, but I do play other games. You can reach us at ctrolaltwow@gmail.com, and I am also on YouTube as AprilPvd. So, today, episode 790 entitled Bye Bye Skyward Omen is about the fact that the Skyward Omen mystery campaign is over in Zenith. The campaign is very similar to a Game Pass. When I played Population 1, they would have a certain number of days and you would play so many games or do so many things to get new skins, get new name tags and calling cards, and then your final goal was to get the new skin. Well, on on Zenith, Skyward Mysteries was very similar, except the goal was really interesting. The first real big goal, you got some Zen, which is the currency, you got some Radiant Crest, and I think you even got an orb. But the main thing was, there were three main things for the Skyward Mystery. The first one was the cupcake recipe. The cupcake recipe, and like the second thing, which you got, I think at level 6, which was a cake, are interesting because you got them by, you got the recipes, and once you made them, this was the first time in Zenith that you could actually give someone something. You could feed them food, but you could never give them anything. And with the cupcake and the cake, you could actually give it to another person, and they could put it in their inventory to either or eat it right away. I learned something about the cupcake and the cake this week, and that is, after you make it, you have to put it in your inventory, and then you can give it to someone. So the Skyward Mysteries was a very interesting. It lasted for, I think, over 100 days. It was here for a while, and the final goal, or the final thing that you got in the Skyward Mystery, was the precursor Fallen Friend, which was a special Fallen Friend. Different from the one that you could catch during the event. But here's the thing that's really interesting. It's not gone. It is still here. I was shocked when I went to, well, actually what I did was I was in Sporewood, and I looked on the map because I was trying to see if maybe the Sunshine event was up. And lo and behold, there was a little mark by Fractured Plains that wasn't the other events, which involved the Sylphids, but it was actually the Skyward event, the Falling Foes, and the Skyward Omen. So you can still battle them, which is interesting. I don't know how long this is going to go. Maybe next server reset, they'll leave. But they're still there. Of course, people, when we were fighting them, of course, when you did the Falling Foes, which was the first step of the whole event in Fractured Plains by Shin and Mika, you got 3,500 XP. You got some Zen, and you got, I think, some Radiant Crest and some Dancing Sparks. And people would go, that's it? All that fighting? Because it is very hard. The Fallen Foes were spinning around. They could easily kill you if you weren't paying attention. It was interesting because they weren't like your regular foe, your regular foe, pun intended, like your regular NPC, because they had no front or back. They were two pyramids, one inverted, stacked on top of each other, and as they shot out their little balls of evilness, of damage, they could shoot from any side. So it wasn't like you would know where to jump behind them. So that was a little bit harder than normal, and but of course, like I mentioned last week, when you died, you just died right around the corner, and you could easily get back. But people would say, "Well, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?" Because they hadn't opened up their agent rank, they hadn't opened up the Skyward Mystery, but that's gone now. So there's really the only good thing is you get that 3,500. If you're low level, that means a lot. And even trying to kill the Skyward Omen now, you only get 450 XP, and the chance of 1 to 3 Radiant Crest, and the chance of an orb. So I'm just confused. If anybody knows why it's still there, I don't know. So let's talk about my journey in VR. So I talked last week about in 2018, I bought a computer and a Oculus Rift virtual system. And then I can't remember, I wish I could, why I then stopped playing it. And I ended up buying, I know why. I ended up buying another PlayStation because I had all of these games that I wanted to play that I had bought for my previous PlayStation. And I wanted to do that other game I talked about, the one in the water. So I bought a used PlayStation in 2019 from GameStop, and of course I paid a lot of money for it. And someone else who sold it got it ripped off and got almost no money for it. It was, how can I put this? It had an interesting aroma. It smelled like sweat. But I just wanted to play these games, and I put a screenshot in the show notes of the games I had bought previously. Doom, VFR. I had bought a PlayStation Aim controller, and Eagle Flight, Batman Arkham, and the one I really liked, I had bought Star Trek, the game where you actually got to pilot the Enterprise, and I played that, and I enjoyed that for a while. And I got used to the lack of 360. And next week we're going into my next step into VR. Boy, did I do a lot of silly things. All right, so this week I didn't play a lot of other games. My Supernatural subscription ran out today, and so I did log in, and I had to jump through some hoops because I had forgotten that the last time I was playing Supernatural, I had played on my other headset. So each time you change headsets, you gotta get out the app. You gotta prove that it's you and not someone else, and you only get a limited number of times to change headsets, or limited number of headsets changed. One thing I did do was there is a free mod for Battlestar Galactica Dreadnought. I think that's the name of it. I put a link in the show notes, but I think it's a limited time only, and that Steam is giving it away. I think it's a mod, but you have to own the original game, and I did own it. I haven't had a chance to play it, but I'm very excited about it. It'll be something different. And Battlestar Galactica was one of my favorite sci-fi shows. You are not the one. If you watched it, the whole thing, it has an interesting arc. So I'm looking forward to playing that. So let's get into what I've been doing this week. And I have been doing a lot of things. And last week, of course, this whole week was crazy because of the countdown to the end of Skyward Mysteries. I hadn't gotten the precursor on my Essence Mage on my Steam account. So I went crazy with trying to do that, and it was very hard because when you first started and you're doing the Skyward Mysteries campaign every day, you have activities that you can do. There are daily activities. They change day from day. And sometimes they were kill 5 of the falling foes, which sounds easy because when the falling foes are battling, you have so many coming at you that you think, oh yeah, this is it. I'm going to be able to do this. But, of course, if you die, you can't kill as many. And just like the Banshee from the Winter Festival, all you had to do really was hit one of the falling foes, and you would get credit if someone else killed that falling foe. In fact, I got really good at hitting and moving, and you had to do that because the other falling foes were shooting at you. There were a lot of people standing around trying to kill one falling foe, and I'm like, it's not going to work that way. And I kept getting into this stupid debate of, help me, can you revive me? And I'm like, just put your hands together. I hate to say pray because it's so stupid. Just put your hands together and you'll come back right around the corner. But I got down to 2 days before, and I needed something like 200 points to get the precursor. I'd gotten all the cakes, I'd gotten everything else. But here was the problem. In order to earn those points, I had no activities to do. In fact, the only activity I had left the day before was to capture 15 dazzling fallen friends. And I don't believe they existed. I had only seen 3 of them. I would be curious, did anyone get the pet? Because you needed 50 of them to get the pet. I mean, that would have been nice. But I even tried at one point to do some shard jumping to see if I could get it. And I only got 1, and I did have the challenge to catch 1 dazzling. So now I'm down to 50. to needing 50 points. And when the server, the last day when the server reset, I got the challenge to catch 5 fallen friends, and I would get 50 points. And I did it and I got the precursor pet. I mean, talk about down to the wire. It was, very, very challenging, but fun. So I have the precursor on my 4 accounts, my 4 characters. And that brings me to my report on AprilPvd in Steam and Oculus. I put screenshots in the show notes. Okay, let's talk about my actual tunes this week. And we're going to go over a few things. So first I'm going to start with my Essence Mage. And my Essence Mage has... No. Okay. First we're going to talk about... Let's start all over again. Gosh darn it. All right. What I've been doing, how about welcome to the state of Ctrl Alt WoW and AprilPvd on Zenith. So on Zenith, I have quite a few, oh shoot. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the state of AprilPvd in Zenith. We're going to start with the AprilPvd in Steam because I do play both Steam and Oculus. In Steam, I have several characters. Some I made before I understood about the differences between the roles and how each character can have multiple roles. So I had AprilPvd, I had AprilMD, but now I've narrowed it down to 2 tunes, and it's AprilPvd / and AprilPvd plus. I also have CtrlAltWow.com, which is what I use for teaching. And I have PvD April, which I don't know what I'm going to do on her because I know I don't have to have different characters for different classes. So we're going to start and take a look at AprilPvd Plus, and she is my Blade Master. Now the Blade Master is the one that swings. And I'm sorry if I'm over-explaining for those people who already know about this, but a lot of people who are listening to the podcast are not playing Zenith or are just starting to play Zenith. Now, I like the Blade Master because I get exercise. And you're going to be using your sword. Of course, right now in Zenith, there are 2 classes, the Essence Mage and the Blade Master. But what you can do is have multiple roles, which is something very similar to Final Fantasy XIV. And what's nice about that is that there are things that you accrue in the game, and that can be used for all 3 of your roles. You can pick the one you like best. I personally kind of like Blade Master support better, but DPS and tank have their uses, and it's nice that you can switch between the 3 at any time as long as you're not in combat. So first I'm looking at my AprilPvd Plus, and she has a DPS level 24. Her support was level 39 because that was what I was doing, and originally AprilPvd Plus was named AprilMD because she was going to be my healer character, not knowing that I could be multiple roles. And my tank, so she's level 39, and she got so high because I did the Winter Festival with her, and my tank is level 25. The thing that's nice about this is that the pets, which are not account bound, they're only character bound. So she has the Burrow Weedle, the Fairy Fly, the Precursor Fallen Friend, which was the final thing for the Skyward Mysteries, which is what I'm told is like a game pass in some games. I know that with Population 1, you would go all the way up and when they had their game passes, and you would get a skin. Well, with this particular event, the final thing was the Precursor, the Fallen Friend, which is nice. And when you bring out your friends and pet them, they make a noise and they get bonuses. It's a lot like in WoW when you had to be nice to your pets. So you bring them out and you pet them, and they become happy, and it helps them to level up. I also have the Fallen Friend on this account and the Waddler. There will be screenshots in the show notes to show what each one of these are. And that's what's nice about this, because I can switch between the roles, and I'll keep these. And also I will be able to keep the equipment I have and use amongst all of my ranks. Of course, they're all by level. AprilPvd Plus has some higher level gear, eye level 42 gear, that only the one that's designated as the support can wear because she's 39. But when these characters get up higher, they all will be able to wear these roles. I keep calling them. I think them as separate. In fact, when I'm in them, I'm thinking separate. So now I'm gonna log out of AprilPvd, the Blade Master, and I'm gonna log into my Essence Mage. Now again, this is all on my Steam account, and I'm gonna go over and do screenshots for each of my Oculus accounts as well. I am logging into a low-level server, a low pop server, because I am not going to be doing anything with groups, and some of the servers are full already, and I don't want to take up a space that someone else could use. It would be better almost if people could spread out over multiple servers, but that doesn't happen. Okay, so now this is my Essence Mage, AprilPvd / and the slash again is supposed to be the weapons, because when she uses her weapons, they point out a beam, and she has been tandem leveling completely. She has her DPS at level 22, her support at level 22, and her tank at level 24. The tank is only higher because for me it is harder to play an Essence Mage tank, because with the support you can do pew, 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 you can shoot. But the tank has a different mechanic, which I am really not familiar with. I've never been a tank person. She has, as far as equipment, she doesn't have anything fancy. Oh, they all have the cosmetic on the Steam account. They have the ability to have the hands and the helmet. I don't usually wear the helmet, and two hands, but that doesn't matter. I don't really use the helmet. I'll put a screenshot. It's an interesting one. These were both from, no, one was a referral and one was the gloves were the Sky Wave transmission. It was interesting because they did a thing on the internet where if you went through these text-based games, you could get these things that would give you cosmetics. Although I think I stopped wearing the gloves because the gloves I got right now I think are cuter than the gloves from the Skywave transmission. As far as pets, she has the same thing. She has the burrow weedle, the fairy fly, the precursor fallen friend, the fallen friend, and the waddler. And she has, the nicest thing about tandem leveling for me is that the gear can be shared. So whatever gear right now they get, they can all wear it. You don't have to go back and forth. You can just keep that same gear. All right, so now I'm going to leave my Steam account, and I'm using virtual desktop. I should put a video in the show notes, or a screenshot in the show notes that shows what I do to go. It's so easy. The virtual desktop has really improved a lot, and all I have to do is scroll through my games. There are two separate fields under games in virtual desktop. One shows all my Oculus games and one shows all my Steam games. Don't look at the naughty ones. So now I can easily click on Zenith in the Oculus, and there's a lot of games in it's not recording. Did that not record? Okay. Huh. Interesting. All of a sudden it's not recording. I wonder if this has something to do with, I had PC Link on before. My Oculus isn't recording. Let me see if it'll at least take a picture. Nope. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but I'll give you an idea later of how this works. But I can easily go between the Steam and the Oculus gameplay. So now I am logging into my Oculus account, and again I'm going to go on a lower pop server, and it's cross-platform, which is nice. All three, well, I know there are more. I know there's Vive and there's Pico. Can Pico play it? I don't know, but Steam and Oculus and PlayStation VR can all play Zenith. So we're going to look at my Essence Mage, and I've named her AprilPvd EM. And we're going to look at what she's been doing. Now, it's interesting when you log in. Oh, I am in Fractured Plains. All right, so let's look at her. So I am on AprilPvd EM for Essence Mage, and she has a 33 support. That's her highest. Her support is highest. Her DPS is 32, and her tank is 29. And I've been tandem leveling the DPS and the tank, and they are catching up, which is great because they will soon be able to use the equipment that the support had. And as far as pets, they have on this tune the burrow beetle, the fairy fly, the precursor fallen friend, the fallen friend, the SNC bot, and the waddler. The SNC bot was another thing from Skywave. Oh, sorry for the interruption. I'm in a bad spot. Oh, shoot. Oh, and I'm on my tank. You hear that? The tank has a steady beam. Instead of going pew pew, the tank puts out a steady beam, which is on the Essence Mage, which is interesting for me. And so the SNC bot was a thing you did on Skywave. There were 2 Skywave transmissions. And I don't have the gloves on this one because I think it goes along your IP address or something. Whenever I do the Skywave transmission, I get the same codes, and so I can't get the gloves. Oh, and also she has the waddler. So the burn weedle, fairy fly, and waddlers are the easier ones to get. We're going to take a look at the cosmetics. And she has no cosmetics, does she? No. Oh, she has the Zen Dive helmet. So that must have been a referral thing, but she doesn't wear it because she has a nice hat, a nice cap. And again, I'll put screenshots of all of this in the show notes. And we are now going to log out and look at my Pride and Joy, my Blade Master on my Oculus. The thing that happened to me was that when I first started playing the Steam account, don't ask me why I got both accounts. I know it's crazy, but once I got them, I felt obligated to play it. And because, I am, and this is Ctrl Alt WoW, and I am an altaholic. And when I first got the Steam account, I could barely play it. The lag was incredible, and I actually stopped playing on the Steam account for a while, but I fixed it all on my own, and I'm so proud of myself. I got I upgraded my RAM. I'm gonna do this for a second. I know this is crazy, but I have to. Just for a second. I upgraded my RAM, and that really made a big difference. So I'm gonna do this. Okay, that should work. And that I upgraded my RAM on my PC from 8 gigabytes of RAM to 32 gigabytes of RAM. Now, you know, when I first got the computer, I don't know why I got 8 gigabytes. I would never have in the past. I would never have gotten one. Anyways. So I'm now on my Blade Master, who's named AprilPvd asterisk. When I first got her, she was named, I think she was named something else, and I changed it to AprilPvd because I wanted it to be more identifiable. Now, she started out as a DPS, and she was I got her to level 40, and I got her to level 40 by doing the Winter Festival, and this was the one I played mostly. I really never got the hang of the Essence Mage, but I'm getting better at it. Plus, what I started doing was actually using the Blade Master as my exercise. Even though I paid for some exercise VR programs like Supernatural and HoloFit and VZ Fit. Instead, I would be in here doing my blade work because this is amazing. So let's look. I just realized when I have the camera on me like that, you can't see the screen. So we're going to go back. It's nice to be able to do this part, but it doesn't work for being able to see what I'm looking at. So let's look at some of Aprillian's information, or I'm sorry, AprilPvd asterisk, or AprilPvd star. So she's DPS 40, and then I have tandem leveled her support. And I started these at 1 each. When I finally realized, I could have a different role, I started both the support and the tank at 1, and they are both 39 right now. And I have to say, while I can't really do very well with the tank on the Essence Mage side, the tank on the Blade Master side is amazing. It has this thing called Boink, and Boink will increase the next stagger duration by 110%. We'll go in stagger one day, but it's a way if you do enough damage to a mob, it will stagger, which means it stops performing. It stops, and you can actually do a lot more damage on that. Now, as far as her pets, she's also my star. Because I've worked more on her, she has a burrow beetle, she has a gem crusher, she has a dazzling fairy fly, which is my favorite because the fairy fly can have 2 slots. The pets can give you buffs, and the buffs vary. This one I like because she can give me a stamina boost, and then she can also give me when she gets to 15, she can give me a speed boost, which is why I play with her the most. I also have a regular fairy fly, which I was running with a lot because it gives you a stamina boost. Stamina is the duration for climbing and flying and running, so it's very important to have stamina. I also have something called a Wiveria. Now, the burrow beetle is a beetle. The gem crusher is more like a scarab. All of the fairy flies are just butterflies, but they have different names. The Wiveria is actually a dragonfly. And then I have the precursor falling friend, the falling friend, the SNC bot, which I told you before was from the transmission wave. And I have the striped tail cub, which was amazing because you had to capture it 150 times. And I have the frosted striped tail, which is a unique 2022 Winter Festival cub, and it too will have 2 slots. But right now, the only things it can do is hunt. It's okay, Pumpkin. It's okay. All right. Sorry, my dog got excited. Something must have fallen in my bedroom or next door. Anyways, but her things are fruit hunter and mushroom hunter, which is great, but I don't really, if I'm ever at the point where I'm trying to find those, it would be really great to have that. The other thing I have is the waddler. So what's nice about having the multiple roles is that all of these pets are available to me. And here's the really big kicker. She has a cosmetic that came from the, it's called the Pandowl cap. And it's so cute. Screenshot in the show notes. And she's also been participating in the Sunshine events. So she has the bracelets, which are really, really nice. So this one, having the multiple roles, if I want to be a tank, if I want to be a DPS, if I want to be anything else, she can do it. And now they all can share in the high-end gear that she is wearing. She has level 42 gear, and her average item level is 42, which is, of course, the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. So I love that so much. So those are my 4 main, and I do have other characters that I'm not playing anymore because I don't need them, and I'm just finally figuring out that I didn't need them, and that is my state of AprilPvd in both Oculus and Steam. I had a very exciting experience on Friday, and I hope it's okay to talk. Well, I told him I was streaming, and he actually joined my stream. So I met a developer. You know, it's really nice the way the developers join into the game and talk to us. They had been talking to several people on top of the tower in Fractured Plains, where Shin stands and where Mika stands if you went through the academy. Of course, if you're a legacy person, Mika's over there by the bridge. And his name is Winter Z, and he was answering everybody's questions, even the annoying ones. Some kid was saying, can you just level me up? I don't feel like leveling. And I don't understand that because I love the level. I mean, obviously, I have 4 characters that I'm working on. The leveling for me is the most interesting part of the game. It's always been, even back when I was playing World of Warcraft. Well, I reluctantly went to him because I didn't want to bother him, but I still have that problem on my legacy Steam accounts, and I call them legacy because we started at the underside and not through the academy. And of course, that means Mika's over there by the bridge. That I don't have the guide. The guide for the agent rank is not working for me. He was very nice, and he did that thing that that I always associate with like robots and especially the Terminator, where he stops for a second and he's thinking, and he was able to look in my files. He couldn't help me, and to be honest, he deleted some. He said he deleted some quests. Well, he deleted the Blake quest, and he deleted the progress on my catching of pets. But I forgive you, Winter. You followed me on Twitch, and of course you can find me on twitch.tv/AprilPvd, so I can't complain. But it was interesting running into a developer. 2 other things happened this week that I want, 3 other things. First of all, after that, while I was streaming, KT joined me, and I had started to do this tutorial. One of the things I find interesting and annoying is when I see people running around naked. I know it's just a video game. I know it's not really naked. It's just pixels. But what they're doing is they're changing their roles. And so when you change your roles, and I talked about my roles and all the different, what I'm doing, which is tandem. If you tandem change, you don't have to worry about being naked because you'll have clothes. And I'm going to, in my actual video podcast, I'll show you a little bit about how you can do it without having to be nude or naked. First of all, you can always go on your main character and farm clothing. You can go start hitting the lower level tunes in Fractured Plains, and they will drop low level clothing. And then once you get to and you can also turn in quests. If you have quests, especially high level quests, and you turn them in on your level 1 or your level 2 tunes, it's gonna bring they're gonna level 2 or 3 levels instantly, especially certain quests. One time I leveled one of my low level roles just by turning in the Sylphid Horns quest to Mika in Fractured Plains. Also, the synthesizers right there in Fractured Plains synthesize level 5 clothes, and you can use, if you don't have enough of whatever the currency, you can use your Radiant crest to convert to whatever that currency is. And that brings me to my next interesting experience. I was doing that on my stream, and a nice young man named KT jumped in, and he said 2 things. The first thing he said was, you could go farming level 5 and level 6 gear, he said, in the instance in Fractured Plains, and I was confused, but he meant the mines. And that's also a good place to farm, what do you call those? Oh, Godstones, yes. So that's a good way to get equipment. So don't run around naked. Just go ahead and get the gear on your other tunes. Or do what I do, which is tandem leveling. And that works out so much better because you always have gear for each of your roles. And you'll be prepared for if you ever want to change your role. Plus, at the same time, you get to experience each role. You never know which one you'll like more. I learned about Bonk and the tank, the Blade Master tank, and I wouldn't have known about it if I hadn't, switched around. With KT he said you can also level up by doing roulettes, leveling roulettes. Of course, it takes a teammate, somebody to be on your team, who doesn't mind having a lower level tune in the instance and doesn't mind doing the heavy lifting. So we went into Seething Crypt. Well, we actually just went into the leveling roulette, and we got Seething Crypt, which was very fortuitous. We ran through. He was very high level and very good at what he does. In fact, he did something that he mentioned something that I had never known, and I'm going to drop a clip of his explanation of AP, and I hope you'll understand it. I tried.
Oh man, I dropped my AP way down, I think down to 0. Where you at?
What's an AP?
You get a kill.
What's an AP?
There you are. So your AP, this game's power completely comes from an ability called, it's a number called ability power.
Okay.
And if you want to be strong and you want to kill things very fast, you got to figure out how to get your AP as high as you can possibly get it. Now, like, there's two types of AP that in my ability, like how I describe it, is you have a sitting AP. Like if you do nothing, you're just sitting there and you can read your number. Like my AP right now is 1 second. My AP sitting here is 1489.
Where do I find that?
I have certain. If you open your menu and you go to the treasure chest, you'll look to the left and you'll see all of your like basic stats.
Okay.
Now, like when I'm a healer.
Attack power.
Nope. Yeah, your AP is the 3 little circles down there, down at the bottom right.
Oh,
the last stat on your right.
Power. Okay.
Yep, your ability power. Now, that number equals to your attack, your affinity. So it's like the 2 swords, the little brain icon, right, and your constitution. So the first 3. That is, if you add those up, it'll equal that number.
Okay. The brain.
So, knowing that, I can take my AP from 1489. I'm just gonna. Then you can spark abilities. You have to read your abilities very carefully, and you can. From there, you can try to figure out what combination of abilities you have to do to climb your AP, and that's what I call a max AP. Like, my AP right now is 4,169.
Okay.
When it's sitting, it's 1,400, so 1,400. So it goes up 4 times. Basically, I guess 3 times the amount.
Okay.
I can get my AP up times 3. This is my max AP. But anyway, that's something you'll have to play around with, and there's like your armor set is something you'll have to focus on too to try to get a high sitting AP.
Oh, I should have been killing people because I could get just.
Yep, you can hit. Yep, hit them.
Yeah, I just leveled up from 2 people. Well, I was almost that level. So that was very interesting. I'm going to do some more research on that, and I want to thank KT for explaining that to me. And we finished the dungeon. Towards the end, I realized I should have at least been hitting some of the mobs, and I could have gotten more XP. And when I went into the dungeon, I was level 5. After hitting a few mobs, I got up to 6. And when we completed the dungeon, I jumped to level 8. And I got a bunch of marks of ancients. And when you're doing leveling roulette, if you look at the screenshot in the show notes, you will you'll get 2 sets of XP. You get the first XP that you would normally get from doing the instance with the 4 marks of ancients, and then you will also get another. You'll get 1,200. I got 12,500 XP and 6,500 Zen for the first part, which is the 4 marks of ancients, and then I got 20,600 XP and 6,500 Zen and 10 more marks of ancients for doing the leveling roulette. And so I jumped from 6 to 8 in an instance, and it's kind of neat. It's just a different way of getting you up there because you want your rolls to be higher, and it's really nice. So the other thing that happened, and this happens to me almost every time, especially after, it happens to me a lot in the game, especially after doing the Skyward Omen, and someone will say, can you help me? I'm trying to kill Kato. I'm like, okay. Outlaw Grove. It's an instance. The thing we have in this society is it's hard to always read the text. And it happens to me sometimes. A lot of times I'm trying to do something, it's not working, I'm trying to figure it out, and I go back and go, oh yeah, read the RTFM. So I ended up taking this person through Outlaw Grove, and it worked out well. You know, I like Outlaw Grove. I like showing people how to get through it, and that was fun. So, yeah, it was great. Can you help me? So, and I just want to say that I'm going to have a new segment called Tips for This Week. And this tip is what I learned this week, and that is you can actually see the events on the map. I didn't realize they popped up as they were happening. I knew the events showed on the map, but I did not know that it was because they were actually happening. I just thought it was just a marker. So you can see the events on the map. All right, so this has been my week in virtual reality. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to give a short review next week on Battlestar Galactica and how that. And the last thing I've learned, and this was so hard to learn, and the thing I like about virtual reality, playing video games, and doing this podcast is that it keeps my brain functioning, and I learn a lot of things. And this week, I was determined to be able to see chat while I'm in the game. Now, I have been trying to follow chat, but what I would do is just tab over and look at the screen. And every time I do that, or I try to think I'm doing that, I would miss something because when I'm watching, nobody says anything. And the minute I don't watch, somebody shows up. So I happen to see, and you know, I see so many sources, so I don't know exactly where I saw this, or whether it was in an advertisement or something. But I saw something about, it was called a XS overlay. And it worked with another program I already had but could never figure out, called OVR Drop. And it is a way of being able to see the chat in game. It took a lot of work. I'm going to put some screenshots in the show notes. I finally figured out, and I want to give a shout out to a YouTube channel, and because they did a very good. He's called TIMSTUH, and I'll put a link in the show notes. He did a very good explanation of how to do it. And the biggest thing that I had to learn was on the computer that I am using for PCVR, I have to go into my video producer on Twitch and pop out the chat. And it was great. I can put the chat in the middle of the game, over my head or to my right, and bam, I'm looking at chat, and it worked out great. And yesterday when I was playing, I had 3 different people pop in. Shout out to Josie. We talked, and it was really great. So on Steam, that's on Steam VR. I am now trying to do it on Oculus. Now, I can go into Oculus Home, and it seems like I can't do it to bring it into the game. And I'm trying to figure that out. If anybody has any tips, what I'm looking at is possibly being able to press a button and then look at it in home. But I can do that with virtual desktop. I can press a button and look at the Microsoft or the browser that I'm using, which is Edge. But I want it to be pasted into what I'm looking at on the Oculus, or which is actually the Rift app. There's been a couple of things that says I can go in and modify some files, but I'm nervous about that, especially because they're Steam files and because I switch back and forth. I think it might be easier if I was using OBS, but I did buy the XSplit lifetime license, so that's a problem. But I'm going to keep looking and see what I can do. There is text to chat, text to voice, things that you can do, but I just don't like having too many voices in my head. But that might be the only option at this moment. So it's fun looking it up, it's fun figuring it out, and it's fun when it works. And having my pop-up chat in Steam is really, really nice. And I have been playing more of the Steam because I figured out about the RAM situation. And that might be my goal. But either way, I'm having fun in Zenith. I hope you are having fun too. It's really interesting, and it brings out the altaholic in me 100%. This is AprilPvd. Thank you for joining me in my reality. I hope to see you in my virtual reality.